What's up, the WFTD classified guys in the house? The draft is officially started, underway. First rounders complaints to move back. The Saints moved up. They took Chris Olave, who a lot of people projected to us, but the Saints went ahead and snatched him. And we'll talk about who the Commanders got at first. Let's talk about who they didn't get. At 11, a lot of the pre-draft hype was around Drake London. Now, Drake London went number 8 overall to the Falcons. Eric, where you at? Do you feel like we missed out on Drake London?
Nope. Sent a tweet today and was basically said, I'm fine not getting Drake London. I wasn't a big fan. I didn't think he was the best receiver in the draft. I thought Garrett Wilson and Jameson Williams were the 2 best receivers in the draft. I did not think Drake London was among them. I thought he's a little overhyped. And he could be wrong. He seems like he's going to be kind of a bully. I think his best case scenario is like an Anquan Bolden. He's just going to have to outmuscle guys for the ball throughout his whole career. So no, I do not feel like we missed out. I think Jahan Dotson, I would rather have Jahan Dotson than Drake London. Now, would I rather have him than Jameson Williams or Garrett Wilson? Now, that's another story. But, that's who we got. And I don't think London, I'm glad if he was plan A, I'm more than happy to have missed out on plan A.
Yeah. Brian, do you concur?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I am not necessarily a fan of the big body wide receiver whose best ability in college is the contested catch, because you got to think about when they're in college, they're not going against the same level athlete as them. They can easily gain separation. They can easily out jump and catch the football. When they get to the NFL, everybody is as big as them or as fast as them or can jump as high as them. So that ability that they had in college now almost becomes a detriment at the next level without having that speed, that separation. So I'm glad he was already gone off the board, so we didn't have to worry and or possibly potentially take him. So I'm good with not getting him.
And some of second round pick Kyler Gordon, cornerback out of Washington, some of his best highlights were him just clamping down on London. So yeah, I'm cool with it. Then again, some of Roger McCreary's best highlights were clamping down on Jahan Dotson. So whatever.
You know what? When it comes to Drake London, I wouldn't have hated the pick for us. He's a different body type receiver than what we ended up with. But you have Cam Sims, who is about what he is athletically, maybe a little bit slower, I guess. I don't know. We don't know because he didn't run the 40. So we don't truly know. But I think, if it comes down to it, I don't want to take Cam Sims 2.0 at the 11th overall pick in the NFL draft. Cam Sims went where he went for a reason. Now, some say Drake London might be better than that, but we don't use Cam Sims now. So there's no reason to think that Scott Turner's just going to change his offense around to be built around a receiver like Drake London, with that type of body type. And so I'm not upset about it. I'm really not. Then what we did, though, we made a trade with the Saints. The Saints traded the 16th pick, the 98th overall, and the 120th overall pick to the Commanders for number 11. With number 11, they took Chris Olave. Eric, similar question about Olave as to London. Do you feel like we missed out there with Olave?
I don't know. I wasn't as high as – I don't know why I wasn't as high on Olave as I was on Garrett Wilson, because I think 2 out of the 3 seasons at Ohio State he was better, numbers-wise at least. But, yeah, Olave to me, I don't know. I would have been okay with Olave had we taken him at 11. Let's put it that way. I don't feel like we missed out because I don't think Dotson is that far off from Olave. And I think that may be part of the reason they were cool with trading back, because they knew they'd probably land one of those guys. Again, Jameson Williams is the guy that I really would have wanted there. But then that's a pick for basically like 2023 almost, because he's going to miss a good chunk of next season. So I can understand not taking him. But no, Olave, I would have been fine with Olave at 11. But I think Jahan Dotson and 2 mid-round picks equals Olave. So I'm okay with missing out on him, but I also would have been cool with taking him.
Yeah, I think I'm the same thought. Alabe was further down on my wide receiver list in terms of like maybe in the teens, early 20s for us to take him. Garrett Wilson was definitely the number one on that list. So I'm not necessarily that upset about Olave. My thinking, or where I kind of had an issue with it, is you spent a lot of time on Olave, right? Like you spent a lot of time bringing him in for multiple visits, going to pro days, combines, all those things. So, was he, your target, which it seemed to be? You spent a lot of time with him. I know in the press conference they said, they spent time with people that they had questions about, which I kind of find hilarious. So, like, if you're interested in someone, you probably want to spend more time with them, even in a draft evaluation process that we're talking about here. So I wasn't necessarily upset with it, but if that was their true target and they gambled and then they missed out on him, then it backfired on them.
Yeah. I want to, Olave for me, I didn't want him. I didn't want a receiver at all in the first round, to be perfectly honest with you, because I just didn't think that it warranted it based on a needs basis, because we gave, McLaurin's going to need a new deal, but he's our guy. He's going to be here for a long time. Curtis Samuel, we gave a bunch of money to last year. We need him to produce. We drafted Deante Brown in the third round. We re-signed Cam Sim. So I just didn't think that receiver was a first round need, period. Was it a need during the draft? Absolutely, but just not in the first round. So I felt like I didn't love the 11th pick, especially because who was on the board at number 11? Kyle Hamilton was there. Devin Lloyd was there. There were potentially team-changing, defense-changing players on the board that we should have, in my opinion, took a chance on, right? The pick we went with, Jahan Dotson, which we'll dive into in a second, was a safe pick. He's a high floor guy. So he's probably not going to be a bust. How high is his ceiling? We'll talk about that. But, we went safe. And I think, this coaching staff, this organization does that way too much for me. Take some risk, right? Like Carson Wentz was a safe trade because he's a guy that he's going to play to a certain level. Is he going to be a disaster? No. He's going to be pretty good. He's going to be in that Teddy as we talked about, that Teddy Bridgewater to maybe number, I don't know, Kirk Cousins territory, generally speaking, right? He's going to be in that range. So he's going to be a good, decent quarterback. But sometimes if you're going to try to win it all ever, you have got to take chances on players that can be elite. And we didn't do that. We passed that up on a number of occasions, including the receiver, Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams has elite traits. He has elite ability. That is a guy that can transform your offense, right? We didn't pass. We passed on that because, Eric, your point, maybe it was because of the injuries. Who cares? If he's going to come back at some point, who cares? Are you expecting to win the Super Bowl this year? Probably not. You're still building some pieces. Take him. Let him work his way through his injury and then continue to build for the future with elite players, blue chip talent, not B guys. B guys help. They help. Nothing personal against Dotson. B guys help. But when you look at the Super Bowl, who did the Rams trade for? Odell Beckham Jr. They traded for A-plus guys, right? Von Miller. They have Aaron Donald, right? It's guys like that are going to get you where you need to go. You have to have some of that. We could have had some of that on a rookie contract for 4 years, but we opted not to. That's my beef with the trade. I don't have a problem with who we did pick and Jahan Dotson. So, fellas, Eric, give me your thoughts on Dotson real quick.
Yeah, Dotson. So I'm going to be honest, I was a little frustrated with the pick last night as well. And the primary reason is that I really didn't even look at Dotson leading up to this because I really thought he was going to be not an option. I didn't think they were going to go for him. I thought they were going to go either one of the air quote elite wide receivers, or they were going to go defense with Hamilton or Devin Lloyd. And when they traded back, I don't know if you guys, clearly nobody did because I had like 11 views, but my final mock draft actually had the Saints trading up with Washington sliding back to 16. When they did that, I was almost positive it was going to be Devin Lloyd. or Kyle Hamilton, who again I'm not super high on. I think he's going to be a star in Baltimore because of course he is, but I don't think he would be that same player here. I just don't. So I didn't really look into Dotson that much. And going back and actually kind of taking a dive into what he did, he's in that group with the Garrett Wilson, certainly Olave, potentially Jameson Williams. I mean, he's legit. I mean, he's a four-year player at Penn State. He got better every single year. He was a monster last year. He was pretty much the only thing going for Penn State's offense last year. Very similar to what Terry's got going and had going in DC. Nothing at quarterback. The offensive line was way worse than what, obviously what we had in DC. No help at receiver. The running game wasn't really there. It was Dotson or bust, and he produced. He put up almost 1,200 yards receiving. He put up 90 catches in college. That's ridiculous. He made some highlight plays. He was cooking guys. I mean, he was a really solid route runner. So I'm actually cool with the pick now that I've, kind of looked at him and seen what he is. Again, not the pick I would have made. I would have certainly gone Devin Lloyd at 16. You would have maybe given some pause had Hamilton still been there. But I would have gone Devin Lloyd at 16 because I think he's the best inside linebacker in the draft. He'd be a stud here. But yeah, I'm completely cool with Dotson after seeing what he did. A lot of media guys, a lot of like talking head guys love Dotson, and are saying he could potentially be that dude in this draft that everybody looks back at and wishes they had wishes they had taken. I certainly hope that's the case. I agree with you. I think he's a very high floor player. I don't think he's gonna wash out. I think he's shown at Penn State that he can take on the burden of being the number one guy on the offense, which he won't have to do here for most likely. He can do that and he can dominate. He can put up huge numbers. So yeah, I think he's a good pick for us. Not necessarily the one I would have done, but I don't hate it at all.
Yeah. Brian, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, no, it was very similar for me. When they traded back, I was okay with the trade back because they wanted some extra picks and it was only 216. So I was like, okay. When they made the pick for Jahan Dotson, I was a little upset because we had Olave on the board. And for me, I was like, well, Olave, Dotson, they're probably of similar ability, talent. Maybe Olave slightly better. Why didn't you stay put? And/or just like Eric said, Devin Lloyd was on the board at 16. I'm not necessarily a Kyle Hamilton fan, so that part didn't upset me too much because here, what's he going to do? He's not taking Bobby McCain's spot because we all know how much they love Bobby McCain here. And what are we going to do? We're not going to bench Cam Curl either. So he's going to play Buffalo nickel. And I just could not see Rivera taking a first round draft pick on a player just to play Buffalo nickel. I wasn't too upset with that. He probably will be a star on another team. The Ravens will make him a star. With Dotson, I didn't like it at first. After doing some more reading, some more of the scouting reports on him, he's an excellent player. When you have Daniel Jeremiah, who is a legitimate NFL scout and had been for many, many years, who says in an interview, on TV, he has the best hands of the draft, and we have all the receivers that we've just been talking about. That's pretty high praise. He's not somebody who doesn't know what he's looking at. And the Commanders just made their pick.
We officially don't know what they're doing at this point based on who they just
I don't save it. Don't even tell me. Just save it. Keep going.
I don't even know what we're doing now. I'm completely. My mind is just blown right now.
Yeah. I lost all train of thought. But no, I am much more happy with the pick. But I think both of you guys nailed it. He is more of that safe pick. And if we've seen anything with Ron Rivera, Marty Mayhew, Marty Herney, they are safe dudes. They're not progressive thinking. They're not forward thinking. They're not risk takers. They are risk adverse. And so you're going to get picks like this and expect more of these type picks where they're safe. They're not bad. They're not great. They're just middle of the road.
I think the thought process behind this pick, moving back to still take the wide receiver, is I think if you've got, and looking at what I've seen over the past couple of days, if you've got a very similar grade on Chris Olave and Jahan Dotson, why not grab a couple extra picks when you know you're going to get one of them? If the grade is right there, you might as well have one of them and two extra picks. that's kind of what I'm thinking on that. The second round pick, I have no idea what I'm thinking. But, again, Devin Lloyd would have been my pick there. I don't think that's a safe pick. I agree 100% with Brian there. We're a safe, our front office is very safe, very risk averse, not forward thinking. So yeah, I completely agree with that. But I really think this draft, that pick specifically, this is they're giving Carson Wentz everything he needs, so he has no excuses. If Carson Wentz fails this year, they can move on with no questions asked because he's got a loaded offense. He's got a ton of weapons. That's good. That's my thought process on that. I just think that Wentz, this draft, that first pick was about Carson Wentz and putting him in the best position he can to be the best quarterback he can. If he falls on his face, it's on him. We can move on.
So first of all, when it comes to college stats, I throw them out the window because 60% of college games are against like terrible schools, right? That your team is just better than. So you should run up the stats on that. I think that Dotson is going to be a good receiver for us. I really, really, really do. I want to separate my frustration with the organization and how they went about this from what I think I'm going to expect from the player Dotson himself. Dotson would have been there, in my opinion, if we would have traded back. And if we had just taken Dotson at 16 and that was just our pick, I think I'd be all right with it. I wouldn't, I didn't think we needed a receiver, but I would be okay with it. So it's just the fact that I think there are so many other receivers that were out there. And Mayhew comes out and says, we got 3 calls for more trades at 16 to get more picks, but we said we're going to take Dotson. That to me is incompetence at that point, because there are other receivers rated higher or at least as equal to what Dotson was that would have been available at whatever pick you had to move back at. I didn't love that comment from our front office. Now, Dotson, the player, he is not a superb athlete. He is a good athlete. 4.43 speed was like 10th best at the combine for receivers. His 36 or 38-inch vertical, that's okay for a receiver. But he's a good technician at the position. He has relatively good hands. I'm not going to argue about that on this podcast. Well, maybe when we do a Jahan Dotson declassified, we'll get into that a little bit more. He does have some body catching tendencies, but we'll talk about that later. The pick itself, I think he will help. Is he going to help as much as somebody on defense? A high caliber pick on defense is going to help us? Absolutely not, but he will help. The question I have for you guys is, and I'll start with you, Eric, what role is he going to play with McLaurin, with Diami Brown, and with Curtis Samuel? Is he, and we have our tight ends. Is he going to be the third or fourth option in this offense? Because if he is, I don't want to hear anything about a 16th overall pick for a fourth option in this offense.
No, he's a Z receiver. He's whatever they thought Diami Brown was going to be last year. That's what Jahan Dotson is. He's going to be pretty much starting opposite Terry McLaurin. You're going to be, he can play in and out of the slot, but he's going to be that dude that's on the line of scrimmage on the opposite side, or, starting opposite of Terry McLaurin. Curtis Samuel is going to be that slot gadget guy. He's going to have the same role that he was going to have last year. Hopefully he'll be healthy enough to do it. Diami Brown probably suffers the most from this. He's probably going to be that fourth option. He's going to be the deep guy. He'll see the field quite a bit. Hopefully he has a little more success next year. But I think Dotson is he's better than Diami Brown at this point already. And I believe he's going to be a starting receiver at that Z position. I think McLaurin's your X. And I could be reversing those two, but he's going to be a starting receiver opposite Terry McLaurin.
Everybody local has said he's going to be a slot receiver for us.
I don't care what they say.
I don't care what they say. Repeatedly today.
He's going to be inside, outside. If you put him in the slot, that's fine. I mean, you can line him up off the ball as a Z receiver. I think he's going to be a starting player.
Yeah. So looking at Tony Pauline from Pro Football Network, Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, Lance Zerline, NFL.com, the Draft Network, Damian Parson, all of the kind of national guys, they're all like, he's outside. He's a boundary receiver who has the ability to go into the slot, on occasion, but he's an outside receiver. So this isn't, I would be careful of the people saying he's just a slot. I'd have to go back and say, what were they looking at? What were they watching? Because if you look at some of the highlights and some of the film that I tried to look through today while sick in bed, he's lining up everywhere, and most of his snaps came from the outside. So he has the ability to get off of press coverage. So that's not something that, is a concern. And he plays, one of the consistent things reading through these scouting reports, there's a couple, but plays bigger than his size. And I think that's part of the reason why he is able to flourish on the outside and line up on the outside. So I definitely think he is now the number 2. Terry on one side, Jahan Dotson on the other, Curtis Samuel slot, and then Deante Brown, if he can figure it out, will kind of rotate in with those guys. If he gains some trust from Scott Turner and rotate back in there, because he got a whole lot of no playing time towards the end of last season, so he'll have to kind of gain some of that trust back. But I think he is very safe. He is ready to compete now in the NFL with his game and with his ability to catch the football, make off-platform catches, catching it away from his body. So you don't even necessarily need to be that accurate with him. So I think he's good to go. Will he be more than that? Is he going to be a 1,700-yard guy, 12, 15 touchdowns? Probably not. Is he going to be close to that? I think so. If we can give him consistent quarterback play, if Carson Wentz doesn't, we still don't know if he's going to last all 17 games. We assume so because he did it in Indianapolis, but he hasn't done it that many times in his career. So I'm excited now about Jahan Dotson.
So I'm gonna lean towards what the local people are saying, given that they've talked to the team a little bit about it. I think he is going to be in the slot. And then, what is Curtis Samuel's role? I don't know. I actually think Deante benefits from this because if they went out and got a pure deep threat, I'd have been like, okay, Deante's days are numbered. I think Curtis is the one that's going to suffer from this, to be quite frank with you. And we'll see, because we don't know yet. I mean, we'll see what happens in mini camp and rookie camp and all that stuff. But real quick, because I want to move on to the second round pick as soon as I Google who the heck he is. Give me your floor, your ceiling, and your reality for Jahan Dotson in terms of comparisons, Eric.
Okay, so my floor, you're gonna hate this. I'm gonna hate this. Absolute worst case scenario. I'll go subfloor and then floor. Subfloor, Steven Sims Jr. It's like if he completely flops, he's Steven Sims.
No.
He's that type of athlete.
I thought, it's funny. I thought that too for a second.
Yeah,
that was on my list.
Absolute floor. So my floor for him is what some people were comparing him to. I think it's Deante Johnson, who's pretty good actually. He doesn't have the best hands. That's why I think Dotson's going to be better. I think Deante Johnson has had some big time drops in big situations. Not Steven Sims level, but he has. So I think that's his floor. My ceiling for him, and let the haters come on, Deshaun Jackson. I'm watching him carve dudes up. I'm watching him weave through the secondary. You watch him run. Go watch some Deshaun Jackson highlights. He's got the same fluid running style. He's just a smooth runner, just like Jackson was. I don't see it with Santana Moss, with a lot of guys. Santana Moss had a lot more suddenness to him, a lot more like shiftiness. I don't see that with Dotson. I see smooth. I just see him. He's a fluid, slippery runner, and that's Deshaun Jackson. That's absolute ceiling. If he's that, through the moon. Now, a lot of people, I like the Tyler Lockett comparison, but everybody's doing that, so I'm going to be a little bit different. My realistic comparison for him is going to be Emmanuel Sanders.
Oh, that's
who. Fantastic, productive receiver, very good career, very solid player, and kind of flew under the radar a little bit as like a really good receiver, much like Tyler Lockett does. So I'm going to go Emmanuel Sanders as my most realistic projection for him.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick, the Deshaun Jackson thing I think is not a good comparison because Deshaun Jackson was elite fast. That is a big part of what made him who he is.
I think that 4.43 isn't. I think he's faster than 4.43. He did not get his 40. I don't know why he didn't run at his pro day. Maybe he is a 4.43.
Yeah.
Watch him play and watch him run that 40. He didn't have a good get off on the 40s that I run. His starts on the 40s, like it was almost like he didn't train for him because he did not start well in those 40s. I think he's faster than 4.43. I think he's sub 4.4 definitely. And again, Deshaun's the absolute ceiling. That's the through the roof. So if that's great, I mean, if that's him, if he turns out to be that, that's great. great. I don't think he's going to be that good, but that's like that would be my ceiling for him.
Let me talk about this,
which is a pretty high.
Let me talk about this Deante Johnson real quick too. So the reason, and people mistake this as he's being compared to Deante Johnson because of Deante Johnson's statistics. Deante Johnson's statistics are a product of the offense that he's in, with no other contributors in that offense. Deante Johnson is a very inefficient wide receiver if you look at his numbers statistically. They throw the ball to him a bunch, and that's why he gets his stats. Terry McLaurin had near similar stats in terms of yardage, while being the 21st most targeted receiver, somewhere between 21st and 26th. Deante Johnson was third, I think it was.
And McLaurin had a very low catchable ball rate too.
Yes. So there's a little bit of a misnomer. There is some of that to Jahan Dotson's game where, like you play in a bad offense. It's a very similar situation to what Deante Johnson dealt with in Pittsburgh, where the efficiency might not necessarily be there. I think people are giving him a little bit too much credit on the deep routes. I think he's going to be big underneath, intermediate, in that type of range. But so the Deante Johnson comparison, I can dig it, but I want people to understand it's not because he's going to have 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns. It's because
he's 5'10", 175. Basically,
right,
that's
right. And he's a product of a lot of opportunities to catch the football. Now, that's not going to be the case in Washington next year, at least not nearly as much. So adjust your expectations accordingly. But go ahead, Brian.
I mean, I'm comping traits, not production. I don't know. I'm not a production guy at this point.
Yep.
The first thing is, I think on the deep speed portion of it, of course, Deshaun Jackson is a faster player. The difference with Dotson and why you see evaluators talk about his ability down the field and why it is as good as it is, he has the ability to almost kind of change gears when he's down there. So his overall speed may not be 4.3 or 4.2, but he's able to kind of slow down and ramp back up almost instantly. He's one of those players. We were talking about it on our mock pod draft about guys who can get to full speed quickly. He can take 2, 3, 4 steps and he's at full speed. And conversely, he can also slow down and then ramp back up to full speed. So on those vertical routes, he's able to kind of lull that defensive back into, hey, you're running right with me, and then ramp back up and pull away from him to separate and catch the football down the field. So he does have that ability. My worst case scenario and what I think he is are the same player, because I think he is a very safe pick. I don't think there is a lot of bust factor with him. I don't think I think he has the high floor that we're all talking about, and that is Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders has been a productive receiver since he entered the NFL. He had, I think I looked at it today, like 3 seasons over 1,000 yards, but the rest were all 600, 700, 800 yards plus, handful of touchdowns each year. But again, productive years every year. And I think that's exactly what we're looking at with Jahan Dotson. Will he go over 1,000 yards? Yeah, probably a couple of times for his career. Is he going to be that every year? No, I think he is absolutely going to be a 600, 700, 800 yard, 5, 6, 7, 8 touchdown a year type of player who has the ability to produce big plays and big touchdowns within this offense. So the worst case scenario and the floor or the realistic expectation is Emmanuel Sanders. I do think I am one of those people who does think, hey, he does have some Santana Moss to him. Is he as good as him? We'll find out. He does have returnability like Santana Moss did. They both have it was almost Santana, like his upper body would kind of remain straight, and it always was like his legs were like moving somewhere else, and he was making guys miss. Both of those guys, they don't have a lot of play strength. They're not going to run people over. They're not going to have a bunch of broken tackles. They'll make some guys miss, but like a bigger receiver, they're not going to run people over or anything like that. So on the high end, I think Santana is a reasonable comp. Santana had like 4 years over 1,000 yards. 2 Pro Bowls throughout, but he was a highly productive receiver from day 1 till day 34 when he finished up, or 35, whatever it was. He had many seasons of 600, 700, 800 yards plus, and I think that's what we're looking at with Jahan Dotson, provided we get we get and keep a quarterback who can throw him the football.
All right. So I mean, I can respect it. I don't agree, but I can respect that. Um, so my floor is Freddie Mitchell from the Eagles a while
Oh,
back. Freddie Mitchell had some decent seasons. Let's not act like he didn't. Freddie Mitchell was a good player
what was
for
his
us.
nickname? He nicknamed himself Fred X. He called himself Fred
Yes,
X.
yes.
Fred-
Um,
His alligator
I
arms when
mean,
Sean Taylor was around.
yeah, yes, it was. So Freddie Mitchell. Actually, I'm looking at this. Uh, I take that back. He was terrible. I'm sorry. He only had about 100 catches his career.
I was going to
Okay,
say I don't think Freddie Mitchell was very good.
I
new
was like,
floor.
that's all I remember him was the Fred X thing he came up with himself.
Freddie
I'm
Mitchell,
joking.
yeah.
I'm joking with Freddie Mitchell. I honestly though, I went Dante Hall for his floor from the Chiefs. He's a
Straight punt
good
returner.
return guy.
Yeah.
He made some plays as receiver for them. They schemed it up. They made it happen. They made it work. My expectations are Jamison Crowder that stays healthy. Hopefully, I mean he's a small guy. Hopefully he can stay healthy. But I'm gonna say Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder was really good for a long time. He was a number 2. I mean, he was a slot guy, but he was our second receiver in this offense during that time frame. Very productive. Had some productive games with the Jets. Just could never stay healthy. My ceiling is a combination of T.Y. Hilton. I think T.Y. Hilton is almost an exact match for him.
I
if they
thought
play
about
him
T.Y.
outside.
Hilton.
Yeah,
I did. I thought about him.
yeah. I think that's his ceiling. I think that's a great comp for him. But I would also mix in a little bit of Antonio Brown too, potentially. Just because not the elite athleticism, but he finds a way to make plays. That's a ceiling. Those are all. If he gets there, those are 2 very, very good players in the NFL. Antonio Brown would have been a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he still is with his antics. And T.Y. Hilton had a very solid career, and he was a really small receiver. So I think ultimately, if we get T.Y. Hilton out of him, I think we're all happy with what we did at the 16th pick. If we get Jamison Crowder that can stay healthy out of that pick, I think we're happy. So we'll do a Jahan Dotson declassified episode soon, y'all. For everybody listening, hang in there because that's coming. We're gonna put a little more research behind that, and maybe some of our opinions will change. Now, the Commanders in the second round. Who was their pick, guys? Because I'm trying to figure out who this buddy is right here.
Fedarian Mathis, defensive tackle, Alabama. I don't know what you're even doing. He's a two down defensive tackle that should not have been taken in the second round.
And at best is going to be rotational because you have Ioannidis, you have Payne still, you have
No Ioannidis.
This dude was he was probably gonna be there in the 4th round, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't like this pick at all.
I think there are more disruptive defensive tackles that are available that they could have gotten as opposed to you're right. Said, a 2-down guy like Ellie said. Like there are more guys out there. One of the guys I had tweeted about, Matt Hensingen from Wisconsin, very similar kind of build, 6'3", 290 to Jonathan Allen, but super athletic, very disruptive, able to penetrate, get into the backfield, stop the run. Who would have been there? But we get another Alabama defensive lineman who isn't going to offer much in the way of pass rush. And our pass rush has been very, very bad last year. The only guy who brought it was Jonathan Allen. So,
yeah.
I don't know
unless Deron Payne is getting traded. But even then, there's, like you said, there's other guys you could have taken besides him. I don't get it.
Let me correct myself real quick. Ioannidis is in Carolina now. He is not with the Panthers anymore. I mean the Commanders anymore. But still, what are you doing with this pick? Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't know what you're doing here because Nakobe Dean is falling quite a bit. Obviously, there's something going on there, medical or whatever. I know he had an injury.
Especially with Nakobe Dean, he's undersized for normal linebacker traditional roles. But what do we do here? We play this Buffalo nickel, which a linebacker and or safety.
Well, okay, I got to address the Buffalo nickel thing. We played Buffalo nickel last year because we didn't have any linebackers. Like that was why Landon Collins was that role. Like we wouldn't have done that if we'd had like somebody to play linebacker. We had one linebacker who was good and one who was learning how to play football. But man, there were so many other players you could have taken than this dude at defensive tackle. I can't even get my head around. Trey McBride's out there still.
There was,
You could have got another weapon for your quarterback. I mean,
I don't get it.
This is a head scratcher.
The linebacker Anderson still
Christian
out
Harris is still out there. I mean, I had Christian Harris in one of my mocks early in the season. It's a little bit of a reach in the second round, but not nearly as big a reach as what they took. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to let this one marinate. Maybe it'll come around like I did with.
They're not taking best player available. We know that because this guy was in the 60s in terms of draft rankings. And I look, don't tell me about their board and they had this guy at number 47. There's no way. So they sat down after the season and identified defensive tackle as their second biggest need that they needed to address in the draft. I'm not buying that.
No, there
was somebody. I mean, there's all the quarterbacks. I mean, you could have traded. I don't know. I guess the quarterbacks are still sitting there, so nobody wanted to trade up for him. But I mean, I'm just looking at the guys that are still available even now. A couple of picks later,
have a middle linebacker on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, you've got middle linebackers there.
This seems very reactionary to the story that came out last week, or maybe it was earlier this week, that the Commanders weren't going to extend Deron Payne. Well, as soon as you know that you're not going to extend Deron Payne, trade him. You have to trade him because he literally has no value and he will walk, and you could potentially the cop pick that you can actually lose that. That's not even guaranteed to you based on who you may sign or may trade for the following off season. So this seems so reactionary, so kind of bad planning that now you use the second round pick that you have on a
third round defensive tackle. Like
a 2-down defensive tackle. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, you didn't even. Yeah, he probably would be there when you come around the third round. Like I don't know who was going to pick. Who's going to pick him?
And Brisker, the safety, went to pick afterwards.
Yeah, Brisker was there, but
and he would have fit perfect with the
Brian's baby. Brian's baby can't,
can't be usurped. Look, listen, fellas, this is why the trade last night makes me so mad. It's because yes, more assets, more draft capital is great if you know what to do with it. We reached at 16 for Dotson. I can live with that. Then we turn around and take the second round pick that we had, and we reached way down in the third round and pulled a third round defensive tackle. You can get D tackles in the third and fourth round.
I'm not even confident he's a third round defensive tackle. Like
you can get those guys anywhere.
Yeah,
especially a 2-down run stuffer. Are you kidding me? Those guys are walking the street in the NFL. And we went out and used our second round pick. That's still starter territory. And this is why whenever the Commanders trade for more picks, I'm like, I hate it. I hate it because we do stuff like this. What is Phineas and Ferb or whatever his name going to turn into in the NFL at a defensive tackle? And you know what's going to happen? He's going to play okay. Would he have played above Tim Settle? Would he have played above Ioannidis? Would he have played above Payne? So we let better players walk out the door to spend a second round pick on a defensive tackle when there is a tight end that could help us today out there. We didn't get. There's a safety that we skipped on Kyle Hamilton. Next best dude is hanging out there. It goes to pick after us. But we got a defensive tackle in the second round that was somewhere projected between the third and the fifth round. And we got 3 GMs to come up with.
Chad Muma's still out there. Leo Chenal's still out there. Not a big Leo Chenal guy, but Chad Muma's out there. He was the trendy pick.
It's 19.
Christian Harris. I mean, if you're going to take somebody from Alabama, take Christian Harris. He's an inside linebacker. He can help you. He's going to be good. I think he's going to be good in the NFL.
We're building this roster like it's 1999, man.
That's it.
I don't know what we're doing. I mean, unless there's like a deal in place to send Deron Payne somewhere, But even then, I mean, this guy's a depth player. He's not a Deron Payne replacement because Payne can take over a game when he wants to, or sometimes he can. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough one to swallow. I'm trying to be a homer as much as I can. That's a hard one for me. Fedarian Mathis.
I would have been okay if he would have said, "Hey, you know what? Let's draft an edge rusher here." If he would have said, "You know what? We needed a legitimate third pass rusher behind Montez and Chase Young because those two didn't work." I had mentioned this during the season. You guys didn't like it. If we would have had Ryan Kerrigan, and not so much for the sentimental reason, Ryan Kerrigan is a professional pass rusher. He can get a sack. We had dudes on the team last year, Bunmi, Routine, James Smith-Williams, whoever these other guys' names are, I don't remember at the time right now. They could not get a sack to save their lives. If he would have went edge rusher, I could have understood that because, hey, you need to be able to throw the football and you need to be able to rush the passer in the NFL. So I could have understood that. But a D tackle, that one's tough to swallow.
A 2-down defensive tackle. That's the hard part. A run stuffer.
Yeah.
It's like we don't play 3-4 anymore. We don't need a big Terrence Knighton in the middle.
Hey, it's 1992.
I mean, maybe, Sam Mills can coax something out of it.
Totally. I couldn't coax something out of the first round picks that we
I don't know,
had.
man. I'm trying to.
Do you know how many teams? Do you know how many teams run zone run schemes to where he is not going to be a factor at all?
I'm going to tell you, 33% of the people on NFL.com think it was a good draft pick. He gets a solid B.
Those 33% went to Alabama. They're alumni.
Yeah. I wrote. I put D. I think it's a D pick. And I was being nice. I don't. Yeah,
bro.
Maybe they're playing chess. I don't know, but I don't see it.
Did Hassan Haskins get picked already? I mean,
Hassan Haskins. No, they're going to take him in the third round because he's a projected 6th-round running back. So they're going to take him next.
Ojabo got picked. I forget.
Yeah, Ojabo. They did pick. Yeah, Ojabo went early in the second round.
Yeah. Good teams do great things with the situation and the cards they're dealt. They got Hamilton in the first. They came back and got the most freakish defensive end edge rusher in the draft. He's hurt, but guess what? They don't care. They're going to wait for him, and he's going to be phenomenal. But we took a defensive tackle in the second round when our D-line has like 4 first-round picks on it. When you got 4 first-round picks, you don't need this guy next to Chase Young.
Well, he's a second-round pick, though. It's different.
I don't care. But my point is you don't need a second-round pick next to Chase Young. Put a warm body there. Somebody who can occupy blocks.
What? I mean, like I said, I can't imagine Payne still here because you take a second-round pick to be a backup defensive tackle. I don't see it. I mean, like I said, they got to have something in the works for Payne. I can't think of another reason. Like they're going to get a 2023 first-round pick for him or something. Doubtful.
Ain't nobody giving a first-round pick for a D tackle. You know why? Because D tackles shouldn't be picked that high anyway. And then a D tackle and who needs a new contract in the 4th year of
it's not going to be. We're not. I don't know what. Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to think of a way to defend it. I can't. I don't see what they're doing here.
This is about winning, guys.
There's so many more players on this. I don't think it's about winning.
No, it should be about winning. The NFL is about winning.
Nailed it, Eric.
Okay, Brian, what did the Eagles do yesterday? Who did they get?
They got Jordan Davis, the
Albert Hainsworth.
Yeah.
No. But they traded for what?
Oh,
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown from the Titans.
How does Mathis help in the AJ Brown situation? Defending that. He doesn't. What do the Cowboys do best? They throw the football all over the field. How does this guy help us with that?
I guess their only thing that they have, it says he had 9 sacks last year, and so maybe they're going to try to justify it as he can rush the passer too. But I think that's a big stretch. Because Payne was a very similar. We were like, oh, he's got pass rush ability, and then he gets to the NFL and it's 3 sacks, 4 sacks a year. So we're looking at a very big run stuffer.
All right. I don't know. Our division is changing to be a passing division.
Oh yeah.
We need people that impact the pass game. And we're doing this.
But you know what? When they zig, we zag.
Never let them know your next move, I guess.
Yes.
But
One of his traits is Alabama body type. What is that? Is the Alabama body?
It's the Jonathan Allen body type. 6'3".
He hangs out at, what do they have down there? Sheets. He eats at Sheets a lot. He has the Alabama
guys,
body type.
who were the defensive tackles for Tampa Bay?
Vita Vea.
And Dominic Gillum-Sue and Vita Vea. Yeah. Not a good example.
They're both enormous men.
Yeah.
But
Vita Vea has some pass rush ability. He's not like great.
He's a run stuffer. Yeah.
He's a run stuffer.
Yeah.
But who's their edge rushers?
Oh, they got multiple guys. They blitz just about every play though. Bowles,
Right. No. But my
Devin
point
White
is
coming off the
right.
Yeah.
Their
Devin Lloyd
defensive
is a
line
good comp
is
for.
inside out, and then their edge rushers are their linebackers, right? Because that's how they're built. We are built around the edge. Why are we investing a second round pick? I can't. I can't. You had a chance to win me back after the Dotson pick with a strong second and third round, and then we do this. So in the third round, we're going no name. You know we are. And then we'll wait till Saturday to find out in the fourth round. We pick the kid out of middle school.
Since it's still going on, everybody we'll know tomorrow. Let's guess the third round pick.
All right, I got you.
Let's guess. Let's predict the third round pick.
Oh, I'm going running back. I already got my guy.
I need to think of what the best GM in the NFL will do, and then I'll do the exact opposite. I gotta see who's out there. Let me see who's out there.
I'm going running back.
Let's go best available, and let's go to page 13, and then we'll start from there. Okay. Where do we pick in the third round? 98? We pick 90. We pick 98. Yeah. All right.
I got my guy. Yeah. Who
you got your guy? Who's your guy? I'm still looking, but who's your guy?
I'm going Zach Tom, interior offensive line from Wake Forest.
Okay.
The 128th ranked best player in the draft. That's who we're going to take at 98.
Zach Tom. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to go. Let me think here. I'm going to go Dominique Robinson, outside linebacker, Miami, Ohio, ranked 125. Because we have two outside linebackers already. So Dominique Robinson, Miami, Ohio. That's my third round pick. What you got, Brian?
I am going running back, Rachaad White, Arizona State. Scott Turner wants more of these interchangeable guys who you can get later on in the draft, and he's going to go get this. Running back, Rachaad White. And he's going to run up the middle.
I can't even with this draft. Eric, all right, it's time to shut this down. Eric, give me your final thoughts so far about the draft.
My hope for all of our listeners is that one day you all find someone who loves you the way that our front office loves bad draft picks.
They love reaches. I'm sure this Fandango, whatever his name is, Fandango, is a great character guy. I can almost see it without Googling it. He's a great character guy.
Parents were in the military.
Parents are probably in the military. Salute to all the military people out there.
That was the connection.
He's that. I don't even have to look it up. I'm sure I'll find it. Brian, what are your final thoughts? Yes.
Final thoughts is this. We very much have a 1992 view of NFL football in our front office and our coaching staff, and they are playing it out to a T with how they coach, with how they draft, with how they make trades, with how they go about extending players. Everything is slow. Everything is methodical. It is, backwards. I mean, nothing is new. Nothing is different. There are no risks. Ellie, you said it yourself. There are no risks here with this group. what's safer than an Alabama defensive tackle? I don't know. Maybe a receiver, Jahan Dotson, in the first round. But this group, they really need to kind of change their approach, because the way that they're going about it isn't winning football games, and it's not really kind of improving the roster. So I really hope they kind of take a better approach to the rest of these draft picks.
And Trey McBride is gone. Just went to the Cardinals.
And I don't want to say that to be negative, because I do like Jahan Dotson. I actually really like him now. But the second round pick for a defensive tackle, I don't know.
JP Finley just tweeted Washington's run defense last year was ranked 8th in yards allowed. Our run defense was 8th in yards allowed.
That's because teams passed all over us.
And yeah, we were like again too. How have we changed that?
No, we haven't.
Yeah. Again, if they would have taken an edge rusher, I could have justified it in my head and said, okay, we've got to get better at the pass. Okay, defending the pass, well, that's a way to do it. But they went defensive tackle. It just seems so reactionary.
Guys, we rolled out a new team name, logos, uniforms. We had a chance to come away this offseason making a big splash, maybe get a young quarterback to start this franchise off right. We got Carson Wentz. Cool. I can deal with that. I can deal with that. We got a good draft pick to get elite players. We trade out of that. We go get Jahan Dotson. All right. I don't love it, but we got more picks. Second round, let's get another impact player. We win a backup defensive tackle. All right, I'm done, Ron. I can't. This. All right.
Why do we love this team? Why do we love them?
Oh my gosh. I tell you what, if you're listening, subscribe, hit the comment section. Tell me why I'm wrong, why I'm crazy, and tell me why Phoenix and Ferb, Fenarius, Morgan, Watson, Jack, what's his name?
Fidarian Mathis.
Fidarian Mathis. Tell me why. I'll just call him Judge Mathis. Tell me why he's good in the comment section. And don't tell me because you watched a highlight tape of him in college of 2 plays where he was getting pass rush against Germanna Community College. Tell me why he's good and why he was a second round pick. Please make it make sense for us. Like, comment, subscribe. Audio listeners, shout out to you all. Subscribe, tell your friends, leave a review, leave a rating, all of that. We need it. Everybody else, if you like Fidarius Mathis in the second round, more power to you. We do not think the same, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I just want you to know that we don't think the same. We are out of here. Ooh, man. We got a Fidarius Mathis declassified episode coming. It's going to be 3 minutes long. It's going to be 3 minutes long. We are out of here.